Before the world awakes, before the first rays of the sun grace the earth with their gentle warmth, he stands at the threshold of a new day. A man whose resolve is as steady as the mountains and whose heart beats with the quiet fury of an ancient warrior. To those who pass him by, he is just another figure in the endless sea of faces, another soul swallowed by the grinding wheels of life. Yet within his chest, there flickers a flame that refuses to die. He is the silent warrior, a man who carries the hope of his family upon his shoulders, the unspoken prayers of those he loves wrapped around his heart like armor. He does not seek glory in the pages of history or the applause of a crowd. His victories are small but precious. A warm meal on the table, laughter echoing through the halls of his home, the knowledge that his loved ones sleep peacefully at night. These are the milestones that mark his path, the quiet rewards of a life lived not for oneself but for others. The world may not see the battle scars etched into his soul, the nights he spends wrestling with doubt and fear, the tears he refuses to let fall in front of the ones he loves. But the divine sees, the divine knows, and so he rises with the dawn, not because he must, but because he chooses to, because he believes that every sacrifice, every act of silent devotion is seen and cherished by the one who measures the heart. In the stillness of the early morning, as the world slumbers on, he whispers a prayer, soft and fervent, a plea for strength, for guidance, for the courage to face another day of unseen battles. And with that prayer still warm on his lips, he steps into the world, ready to wage war against the forces that seek to drag him down. For he knows that he is not alone, that every breath he takes is a testament to the power of faith and love. This is his story, the story of a man who refuses to be broken, who carries within him the quiet, indomitable strength of 1,000 warriors. This is the story of the silent warrior. Each morning begins the same way, with the faint glow of dawn painting the world in hues of gold and rose. He opens his eyes to the sound of a world stirring awake, but his mind is already occupied by the endless list of tasks that await him. Bills to pay, mouths to feed, dreams to protect. He rises from his bed with a sigh, the weight of responsibility pressing down on his shoulders like an old, familiar friend. The walls of his home are lined with memories, family portraits, the laughter of children, the soft glow of love that fills every corner. These are his treasures, the reasons he pushes forward when everything inside him screams to stop. He doesn't see them as burdens, but as blessings, gifts that deserve every ounce of his strength. As he dresses for the day, he takes a moment to look in the mirror. The man staring back at him is no longer young. The lines on his face tell stories of sleepless nights and long days spent laboring under the sun. But there is something else in his eyes, something that no hardship can erase. Determination, faith, a glimmer of hope that refuses to be extinguished. Outside, the world is bustling. People move in hurried steps, eyes fixed on distant horizons. They do not see him, this man who walks among them like a ghost. They do not know the battles he fights in silence, the dreams he nurtures in the quiet corners of his heart. But he does not need them to see. He does not crave their recognition. His purpose is not found in the applause of strangers, but in the quiet moments of triumph that belong to him and him alone. He steps into the cold morning air, the chill biting at his skin, and begins the long walk to work. Each step is a prayer, a promise to himself and to the God who guides his path. He does not know what challenges the day will bring, but he knows that he will face them with unwavering resolve, because that is what love demands. That is what faith requires. At work, he labors with a quiet intensity that belies the storm raging inside him. His hands move with practiced precision, each task a testament to his dedication. He does not complain when the load grows heavy. He does not falter when the hours stretch long. He knows that every bead of sweat is a small sacrifice, a silent offering to the ones he loves. He remembers the nights he spent awake, staring at the ceiling, counting the hours until dawn. The days when hope felt like a distant star, barely visible in the darkness of his mind. But even in those moments of doubt, he refused to give in to despair. For every night is followed by morning, every winter by spring. And so he carries on, step by step, breath by breath, trusting that his faith will see him through. When the day finally ends and he returns home, he is greeted by the laughter of his children, the gentle embrace of his wife. For a moment, the weight of the world lifts, and he allows himself to breathe. These are the moments that make it all worthwhile, the fleeting glimpses of peace that give him the strength to rise again tomorrow. As he lies in bed that night, he closes his eyes and whispers another prayer, not for riches or recognition, but for the courage to keep going, for the faith to believe that his efforts are not in vain. And as sleep claims him, he dreams not of a world that understands his struggle, but of a world where his family thrives. For that is enough. That is everything. He wakes to a world that demands more than it gives, a world that measures worth in currency and status, blind to the quiet dignity of the man who labors without rest. Each day is a new gauntlet of challenges, debts that loom like storm clouds, expectations that weigh on his shoulders, the gnawing ache of dreams deferred. But he does not allow these trials to break him. He wears them like armor, each burden a testament to his unwavering resolve. The streets are alive with the constant thrum of life, cars rushing past, people lost in the frenzy of their own concerns. But his mind is a battleground. He carries the scars of words unspoken, the wounds of opportunities lost. The world is a harsh teacher, yet he learns its lessons in silence, never allowing the bitterness to taint the purity of his purpose. He stands in line at the bus stop, his breath clouding in the cold air. In his pocket, he clutches the worn edges of a family photo, his talisman, his reminder that love is worth every sacrifice. Around him, strangers grumble and complain, their voices a chorus of discontent, but he says nothing. His silence is his strength, his quiet refusal to be drawn into the shadows of despair. At work, the hours stretch out like an endless road. The weight of the day bears down on him, each task a mountain to be scaled. Yet he finds solace in the rhythm of labor, in the simple act of giving his best even when no one is watching. His hands are cracked and calloused, but he wears those scars with pride. They are the proof of his devotion, the currency of a soul that refuses to surrender. There are moments when doubt creeps in like a thief, whispering lies in the quiet corners of his mind. But he has learned to drown out those voices with prayer, to replace the clamor of fear with the steady cadence of faith. He knows that his path is not an easy one, but it is the path he has chosen, and so he walks it without complaint, each step a testament to the power of love and duty. The nights are the hardest. When the world is still and the darkness presses in, he feels the weight of his failures most acutely. He remembers the opportunities he let slip through his fingers, the dreams he set aside for the sake of those he loves. But even in those moments of quiet agony, he finds strength in the knowledge that he is not alone, that there is a purpose to his pain, a meaning in his sacrifices that the world may never see. He knows that he cannot fight every battle, cannot win every war. But he also knows that true victory is not measured in triumphs or accolades, but in the quiet, steadfast dedication to those he loves. And so he lays his head down each night with a prayer on his lips, trusting that God sees the heart even when the world does not. In the quiet hours before dawn, he bows his head in prayer, his breath steady, his heart anchored in faith. It is here, in the stillness of these sacred moments, that he finds his refuge. For all the noise of the world, all the ceaseless demands that threaten to erode his spirit, cannot touch him when he closes his eyes and opens his soul to the one who never sleeps. His faith is not born of luxury or ease, but forged in the crucible of hardship. It is a faith that has been tested by the fires of disappointment and despair, yet it has emerged stronger for it. Each word he whispers is a testament to his trust, a trust that even in his darkest hours, he is not abandoned, that the divine, unseen and yet ever-present, walks beside him through every valley of doubt. When he steps into the world each day, he carries this faith like a lantern, its light flickering but never fading. It illuminates his path when all seems lost, reminds him of the promise that no struggle is endured in vain. It is not a faith of idle words or empty rituals, but a living force within him, a wellspring of strength that sustains him when his own will falters. He does not expect the world to understand this quiet devotion. The world, obsessed with surface and spectacle, has little patience for the slow, patient growth of a soul rooted in faith. But he does not need their validation. His faith is a private covenant, a bond between his heart and the one who shaped it. It is the source of his resilience, the reason he can rise from every fall, the strength that carries him forward when everything else has crumbled. He knows that faith is not a shield against hardship, but a compass through it. It does not promise him an easy path, but it promises that he will never walk it alone. And so he clings to it in every moment of doubt, every hour of exhaustion, every breath of uncertainty. It is his anchor in the storm, his shelter in the wilderness. At night, when the weight of the day threatens to crush him, he closes his eyes and lets the words of prayer pour from his lips. They are simple words, but they carry the weight of all he holds dear. The safety of his family, the hope that tomorrow will be kinder, the unwavering belief that every tear and every triumph is seen by the one who knows his heart. In those quiet moments, he does not ask for wealth or glory, but for the grace to endure, the courage to keep going, the faith to believe that there is light beyond the darkness. And as the words leave his lips, he feels the burden in his chest grow lighter. The shadows retreat before the warmth of belief. For he knows that faith is not a promise of ease, but a promise of meaning. It is the knowledge that every struggle has a purpose, every sacrifice a reward, beyond what the eyes can see. And with that knowledge, he can face whatever comes, secure in the belief that his journey, however long, however difficult, is not in vain. The world sees only the calm surface of his life, the quiet strength in his shoulders, the steady determination in his gaze. But beneath that calm, he fights battles no one else can see. Each day is a test of endurance, a war waged not with swords or guns, but with silent courage and an unbreakable spirit. He battles the doubts that creep in with the night, the quiet fears that whisper of failure and futility. He wrestles with the shadows of the past, mistakes that haunt him, dreams that slip through his fingers like sand. And always, there is the pressure to be more, to give more, to somehow carry the weight of the world on shoulders already bent from the strain. He does not speak of these battles. The world has no time for the private wars of the soul. And so he wears his silence like a shield, his quiet stoicism a testament to the strength he has forged in the crucible of hardship. But within that silence, there is a roaring ocean of determination, a current that refuses to be stilled, a force that pushes him ever forward. When he rises each morning, he does so not because he has conquered his demons, but because he has made peace with them. He knows they will always be there, lurking in the corners of his mind, but he also knows that they do not define him. His worth is not measured by the battles he has lost, but by the courage with which he continues to fight. There are days when he falters, when the weight of it all feels too much to bear. But even in those moments of weakness, he clings to the promise that he is never alone, that every step he takes, every breath he draws, is a prayer in motion, a testament to a faith that cannot be broken. And so he moves through the world with quiet dignity, his unseen battles giving him a strength that no one else can understand. The world may never know the price he pays for his quiet victories, but he knows, and that is enough. At the heart of his struggle is a love so fierce it defies description, a devotion to his family that fuels every sacrifice, every silent prayer. He is a father, a husband, a protector. And in that sacred role, he finds the strength to rise above every challenge. He labors not for himself, but for the ones who wait for him at the end of each long day. Their laughter is the music of his life, their smiles the light that guides him through the darkness. He carries their dreams within him, a sacred trust that shapes every choice, every breath. He remembers the nights spent rocking his children to sleep, the quiet moments of wonder as he watched them dream. He remembers the promises he made to provide, to protect, to be the steady presence they could always rely on. Those promises are the pillars of his world, the foundation of a life built on love and sacrifice. He knows that the world can be cruel, that life does not always reward those who give their all. But he also knows that every act of love, every small kindness, is a seed sown in the fertile soil of hope. And so he labors on, not for the praise of others, but for the quiet satisfaction of knowing that he has given his best to those who matter most. In the stillness of the night, when the house is quiet and his family sleeps, he allows himself a moment of quiet reflection. He thinks of the future he wants to build for them, the legacy he hopes to leave behind. And in those moments, he feels the quiet assurance that every sacrifice is worth it, every struggle a testament to the power of love. There are moments when he stands at the edge of surrender, when the weight of his burdens threatens to pull him under. The world can be relentless in its demands, and even the strongest hearts can falter under the strain. But each time he finds himself teetering on that edge, he remembers the faces of those he loves. And that memory gives him the strength to pull back from the brink. He does not allow himself the luxury of despair. He knows that to give in would be to betray the trust his family has placed in him. And so he fights on, even when his spirit is weary, even when his body aches with the weight of his toil. He draws strength from the quiet moments, the laughter of his children, the soft touch of his wife's hand, the knowledge that his efforts are not in vain. These are the lights that guide him through the darkness, the beacons that keep him from losing his way. He knows that the world may never see the battles he fights in silence, but he also knows that the divine sees, and that is enough. For in the quiet of his soul, he feels the presence of a love that transcends all understanding, a love that gives him the courage to face whatever trials may come. What the world sees as weakness is, in truth, a reservoir of strength. His tears are not a sign of defeat, but of a heart that refuses to close itself off to the pain of others. His quiet moments of doubt are not failures, but the forge in which his resolve is tempered. He knows that to love deeply is to be vulnerable, to open one's heart to the wounds of the world. And he embraces that vulnerability, for it is the source of his greatest strength. It is what allows him to keep going when everything around him says he should stop. He is not afraid of the scars he bears, for they are the marks of a life lived with purpose. Each one tells a story of a battle fought, a lesson learned, a truth embraced, and he wears them with pride, knowing that they are the badges of a soul that has refused to be broken. In the quiet of the night, when the world has fallen into slumber, he sits alone with his thoughts. He thinks of all he has lost, all he has gained, all the ways he has been shaped by the fires of life. And in those moments of stillness, he finds the quiet conviction that he is exactly where he is meant to be. For every hardship he endures, for every tear he sheds in silence, he trusts that there is a higher justice at work, a divine balance that sees beyond the moment, that knows the secret burdens of every heart. And in that knowledge, he finds peace. He does not seek vengeance against those who have wronged him, nor does he wish for harm to befall those who have caused him pain. Instead, he trusts that the divine sees all, and that every act of kindness, every sacrifice, will be repaid in ways he cannot yet understand. This trust does not mean he is blind to the injustices of the world. He sees them clearly, and they grieve him deeply. But he refuses to let bitterness take root in his heart, for he knows that to carry anger is to poison the wellspring of hope. to let the darkness of the world take hold of the light within him. And so he prays, not for retribution, but for the grace to endure, for the strength to keep his heart soft, even when the world is hard, for the faith to believe that every struggle has a purpose, and that the seeds of his sacrifice will one day bloom into blessings beyond measure. Each day he rises again, the dawn breaking over the horizon like a promise. He knows that the road ahead will not be easy, that there will be days when the weight of it all threatens to break him. But he also knows that he has faced the darkness before, and he has never been defeated. He walks forward with quiet determination, his faith a steady beacon that guides him through the storms of life. He does not look for shortcuts, nor does he seek an easy way out. For he understands that true strength is forged in the crucible of adversity, that the greatest victories are born of the fiercest struggles. And so he walks his path with a quiet dignity, his heart steadfast in its purpose. He knows that the world may never see the depth of his devotion, but he does not need them to, for he walks not for their applause, but for the love that burns within him, a love that will never be extinguished. As the sun rises and the world stirs to life once more, he offers a final prayer, a prayer of gratitude for the strength to keep going, for the faith to believe in a brighter tomorrow, for the love that makes every sacrifice worthwhile. And with that prayer still warm on his lips, he steps into the new day, ready to face whatever comes with the quiet courage of a man who knows that even in his weakness, he is strong. For he is the silent warrior, the steadfast protector, the quiet hero of his own story. And he will not be defeated. In the quiet battlefields of life, he is the unsung hero, a man who fights not for glory or recognition, but for the love of those who depend on him. His story is one of resilience in the face of endless challenges, a testament to the power of quiet strength and unwavering faith. Through every hardship, he has learned that the truest measure of a man is not found in the ease of his victories, but in the courage with which he rises after every fall. He carries within him a light that the darkness of the world can never extinguish, a hope born of faith, a love that drives him to give his all, even when no one sees. His life is a living prayer, a testament to the belief that every struggle has a purpose, and every sacrifice sows the seeds of future blessings. In the end, he stands not as a man broken by the weight of the world, but as a warrior of spirit, undaunted, unyielding, and unwavering in his devotion. His story is a reminder to us all that even in our weakest moments, we are capable of the greatest strength. That no matter how heavy the burdens we carry, there is always light to guide us, always love to lift us, always faith to lead us home.